What is the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time according to Wrestling YouTube is the video today here on SCW. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave the comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. Myself and 10 other YouTube channels will be collaborating here today to give our vote on what is the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. Each wrestling YouTuber has been drawn at random in the video, so anyone can appear at any time, including yours truly. I could be early in the video, I could be somewhere in the middle, could be somewhere at the end. So if you want to know my vote of what I think is the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time, you're going to have to stick around. As we go through the video as well, I'll be keeping you up to date on the standings as well, which match is at the top of the leaderboard. And please keep in mind as well that each YouTuber's opinion is their own, so do not give them any criticism for their choices, whether it's in the comments of this video or to themselves on social media on YouTube. And please don't get upset when The Fiend versus Seth Rollins from Hell in a Cell 2019 goes to win this entire video. But before we start, I want to give a big thank you to everyone that has collaborated and been a part of this video. I really do appreciate it. All links to all the channels are in the description of this video, so make sure to support them as well. Go and subscribe to their YouTube channel, go and watch one of their videos, and perhaps even give it a like as well. But without further ado, it's time to find out who drew number one. And a good friend of the channel is going to be kicking us off. Very reliable with his news sources. In fact, he delivers a lot of that on his show. Spoiler warning, and a spoiler warning to you, he's back here on SCW. It is none other than Tom Colohue giving his shout on what is the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time.
My favourite Hell in a Cell match, Steve, is the very first Hell in a Cell. Now, I know a lot of love goes to Undertaker versus Mankind, for example, but for me, Shawn Michaels spending an entire match being beaten, bloody, battered, bruised, and thrown all over the place is a work of art. It is a genuine masterpiece of storytelling. You then had the debut of Kane, and this did more for The Undertaker, more for Shawn Michaels backstage than any match in history. I loved that Hell in a Cell match. For me, best of all time.
Big thanks to Tom Colohue there, and sometimes you just can't beat the original. I've got to say, I had the luxury of doing that for an SCW Rewind just recently. Bad Blood 1997, the original first ever Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, the debut. It's gotta be Kane. It is a 5-star classic. It's an awesome choice, but will it be the number one Hell in a Cell match at the end of this video? Well, there's only one way to find out, and let's get on entrant number 2. He was the best man at my wedding, my best friend in the whole world. He's got his own podcast here on YouTube on gaming, technology, film, and much, much more. It is, of course, one half of This Week in Metropolis. James is in the house.
Hey Steve, James here from This Week in Metropolis. One question, why am I always in my car when I'm sending these videos? We'll never know. Best ever Hell in a Cell match. Well, this was a tough one for me because my instant thought was the very first one with Undertaker and HBK. Obviously Kane made his debut. It was pretty epic. But when I actually think about it, it has to be King of the Ring 1998, Undertaker, Mankind. The spots in that, I mean, Mankind, Mick Foley must have been broken in that match, and it probably did lead to a lot of, you know, his later injuries, but, you know, instantly up on the top of the cell, thrown off through a table. I mean, just watching that back and seeing just the launch of him, he could have landed anywhere. I mean, how they got that to land where it did, who knows? Through the cell, not just that, but to go back and then get put through the cell. Mick Foley, what a legend. Undertaker, you know, was dominant in that, as you'd expect. Tombstone finish. Thank you very much. That's my pick.
A man that's always on the go there for you, James from This Week in Metropolis. And good to know as well that the new season of that podcast is now available each and every week on YouTube. And of course, he's not recording every episode from his car. Thankfully, he will be in his usual spot for that. But thank you so much, James, there for your shout. Almost 2 votes there for the original, but certainly Undertaker versus Mankind can't be ignored. So we've had 2 votes so far, 1 vote each for the first 2 ever Hell in a Cell matches. What is going to be number 1 at the end? Well, you're not going to hear from me now for the next few entries, but we're going to get in our next one. Going to be one that's a regular face on this channel. He usually joins me for retros. Sort of a retro question coming out for you now. It is the one, the only, Barry from NonStop Wrestling Chat here on SCW.
Thanks for asking me to be part of your video, Steve. The greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time for me personally is one that I remember getting in a magazine back in the day because I didn't see it on pay-per-view, scrolling through and they had those little pictures and looking at it and just fantasising about how good this match is, getting my figures out and playing with it. That's how long ago it was. Just this whole idea of what it would be in my brain. It has to be Triple H versus Cactus Jack at No Way Out 2000. Now I know this, for most people, might not be the greatest Hell in a Cell. The Undertaker, Mankind, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker were fantastic as well, but this one, just because of how much it means to me and that nostalgia feeling for me, is what sets it up there. But yeah, there's been a ton of great Hell in a Cells. This one just tops it just because of that nostalgia. Thanks again for asking me to be on your channel, Steve.
Steve, thanks once again for having me on your channel. As always, I love being on the SCW channel. And again, you've asked another one of these dilemma questions that forces me to watch 3, 4, 5, 6 hours worth of WWE content just to make sure that I get my answer correct. This time you want Hell in a Cell and you want to know what my personal favorite one is. This is harder than what I was expecting it to be. I was expecting this to be a lot simpler than I thought it was going to be. As we spoke before, I thought I was honestly going to pick either the Usos versus the New Day or Bayley versus Sasha Banks, but unfortunately, after spending all this time watching it, and throwing out to some other honorable mentions, including Bayley versus Bianca from last year, don't forget Shawn Michaels versus Taker in the first ever one, and as well Cactus Jack versus Triple H. For me, it's Taker versus Mankind at King of the Ring 98. I feel that is the one that every Hell in a Cell match is compared to. I think that's the one that's stolen the show whenever it's talked about. I mean, the match isn't even 6 minutes long before that they throw Mankind off the top of the thing, and yeah, I think the respect has got to be paid for Mankind and what he put his body through for that one. But yeah, for me, Undertaker versus Mankind is a shock, I know, but yeah, King of the Ring 98. Thanks as always, fella, and I'll speak to you soon.
What is going on, everyone? It is Kyle Gagliardi from the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. And once again, Steve has asked me for my thoughts, but this time for the greatest Hell in a Cell match. And the last time I gave my answer was on my favorite WrestleMania match. So I'm not going to go with that match. It was the Hell in a Cell match between Triple H and The Undertaker. So I'm going to switch things up a little bit and go with a more recent answer, and it would be from 2020, the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match between Bayley and Sasha Banks. And this truly was the payoff of the 5-year friendship between Sasha Banks and Bayley here at Hell in a Cell. And Sasha Banks finally prevailed to get her very first win in a Hell in a Cell match. They used plenty of weapons, some great innovative spots in this match. And it truly, in my opinion, was the greatest Hell in a Cell match. And you can't, every single match that Bayley and Sasha Banks do is just phenomenal. So hopefully it's not the final Hell in a Cell match between these two. Maybe we'll see another one down the road. But yeah, that is my answer. Bayley and Sasha Banks for the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time.
Hello everybody, Ella J here of a Wrestling Gal podcast, here to tell you what I think is the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. And while there's definitely a long history of Hell in a Cell matches dating back to the late 90s through today in WWE, I think I have to go with my personal favorite of all time, and that is the main event of Bad Blood 2004 between Triple H and Shawn Michaels, two of my favorites of all time, two bitter rivals at that time, taking each other to the max. So much blood in that match, but in the end, Triple H defeated Shawn Michaels in the main event of Bad Blood. And could you say there was definitely some bad blood between those two, definitely during the Ruthless Aggression era, before they reformed DX. That was such a brutal match, so many moves, they knew each other so well, such good chemistry, and honestly, I mean, they're also my favorite tag team of all time, but seeing their feud after Shawn Michaels returned, and then it just blossomed into this bitter rivalry, I love it. It's my favorite.
Big thanks to Ella J there of a Wrestling Girl podcast there. Yeah, you got to love that there. Triple H and Shawn Michaels there. Of course, that rivalry had been going on for 2 solid years, near enough at that point. So a solid choice, a very personal rivalry, what Hell in a Cell is all about. And of course, big thank you to Kyle as well from OTM. Fantastic podcast they're doing there as well. And great to see that Sasha and Bayley giving a shout. They're definitely one of the best Hell in a Cell matches in recent memory, without question. And of course, a big shout as well to NXSteve. Been doing a lot of collaborations on this channel very, very recently. Giving the shout there to, of course, Undertaker versus Mankind, a man who likes to always put in some good research. So very, very thankful for that. And loving the nostalgia as well there from NonStop Wrestling Chat. They're picking Triple H versus Cactus Jack. So let's see then what it's done to the standings early doors. Undertaker versus Mankind from King of the Ring 1998 has taken an early lead with 2 votes. But as you see, a whole host of matches there on 1 vote there, including the very first Hell in a Cell match from Bad Blood 1997, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, of course including the debut of Kane, Triple H versus Cactus Jack from No Way Out 2000, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels from Bad Blood 2004, and Sasha Banks versus Bayley from Hell in a Cell 2020. So that's how things stand currently. It can all still change so much between now and the end. Let's get our next set of guests on, starting with someone who used to interview lots of wrestlers. Now he does a lot more of gaming instead, including wrestling gaming as well. It is none other than Deez Games. Chris is in the house. Chris, give us your vote.
Hey guys, Chris here. Steve has asked me to discuss and pick my favourite Hell in a Cell match of all time, and it's a pretty easy one for me. Going all the way back to the year 2000, the 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell match. Awesome match from start to finish, loads of big spots. Rikishi being chokeslammed off the top of the cell by the Undertaker onto the truck full of sawdust. Really cool moment. All 6 men at different parts of the match looked like they could win the title. Odds were stacked against Kurt Angle, but he obviously walked away with his title. It was just a historic match, one that we've not seen since. So I don't think we've ever seen that many men inside Hell in a Cell since. Obviously, we've had Elimination Chamber and things like that in the years since. But yeah, brilliant match. Not one of the ones that's often talked about either. People talk about Taker versus Mankind and Taker versus HBK, but Armageddon Hell in a Cell, 100% my favourite Hell in a Cell match of all time.
Hey, what's up everybody? This is Katrina from In Cat We Trust, and in this short clip, I will be telling you my favorite Hell in the Cell matches. Now, we have both men matches and women matches, and so I'm going to try to quickly give you 2 of my favorites. Sasha Banks, for the most part, has been in every women's Hell in the Cell match, except for the one with Bianca Belair and Bayley. And why I really enjoyed Bayley's match with Bianca Belair, I'm gonna have to say the Hell in the Cell match between Bayley and Sasha Banks was a hell of a match. They really had a lot of history, being friends, being enemies, being frenemies, and so that was a really interesting concept and a really, really great match between the 2 of them. When we're going more on the men's side, there's been quite a few Hell in the Cell matches that I really enjoyed. Like we had the Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels and Bad Blood. But I'm thinking of Armageddon 2000. It was a Hell in a Cell match with Kurt Angle versus the Undertaker versus Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and Rikishi. And the moment that really stands out to me is the moment when Undertaker pushes Rikishi off of the top of the Hell in the Cell of the cage. And so those are my 2 top Hell in the Cell matches for me.
Big thank you to Katrina there in Cat We Trust there, giving us a selection there for the men and the women. Of course, Deez Games as well with his selection as well. Some great selections in there, and let's see what it's done to the standings. We've now got a 3-way tie at the top of the leaderboard. Undertaker versus Mankind from King of the Ring 1998, with Mankind, of course, going off the cell and through it as well. Joining it now with both Deez Games and In Cat We Trust selecting the 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell from Armageddon 2000. Of course, still the only 6-man Hell in a Cell match to this date. And of course, now 2 votes also for Bayley versus Sasha Banks from Hell in a Cell 2020. And of course, with 1 vote each at this point, we have the Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, the original from Bad Blood 1997, the first ever Hell in a Cell match. We've got Triple H versus Cactus Jack from No Way Out 2000. Of course, the one where Cactus Jack would retire, certainly for a short time anyway. And of course, we have Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, the personal blood feud from Bad Blood 2004, all with 1 vote each. Still, all could change. Who is going to walk out the victor at the end of this? You could say that this topic is up for debate, so without further ado, it only seems right that we bring Circle of Debate back to SCW to give their vote next. Ivan, take it away.
This is the host of DV's One Ivan C here from Circle of Debate Podcast. Want to go ahead and thank Steve for giving me this opportunity to give my favorite Hell in a Cell match of all time, and that is December 10th, 2000, Armageddon, the 6-man pack challenge for the WWF Championship. Kurt Angle defending the WWF title versus The Undertaker, Rikishi, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Triple H. And this was an incredible 32-minute Hell in a Cell match. It was fantastic, and seeing Kurt Angle retaining against these 5 incredible superstars, and that is my favorite Hell in a Cell.
Fantastic choice there from Ivan F from Circle of Debate Podcast, who recently celebrated their 2-year anniversary and their 100th episode. Congratulations to you guys once again, doing fantastic work over there. And as you can see now with the standings, the 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell from Armageddon 2000 has now taken the lead. It's got 3 votes there at the top, and of course now in joint second place means it's Undertaker versus Mankind from King of the Ring 1998 and Bayley versus Sasha Banks from Hell in a Cell 2020. And you can see the other Hell in a Cell matches on 1 vote each. Is the 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell going to run away with it, or is another one of these Hell in a Cell matches going to catch up with it to the top spot? Only one way to find out. Another YouTube channel. In fact, entry number 10 is a YouTuber who does a lot of predictions, reviews, a lot of topical videos as well. Definitely worth going to check out. It is none other than the one, the only DC Wrestling here on SCW.
The greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time, in my opinion, has to be without a shadow of a doubt King of the Ring 98. This was when The Undertaker took on Mankind. And my God, this match was the epitome, or better yet, is the epitome of what the Hell in a Cell was all about. You had Mankind being thrown off the cell, choke slammed into the cell. You know, The Undertaker still on top of the cell. Like, this match was just freaking crazy, all right? And just completely, again, lives up to the name and the term of what the Hell in a Cell is all about. So, again, in my opinion, the greatest Hell in a Cell match, King of the Ring 1998, The Undertaker versus Mankind.
Big thank you to DC Wrestling. As you can see now, we are neck and neck at the top there for you. Undertaker and Mankind from King of the Ring 1998 and Armageddon 2006-man Hell in a Cell match there. Both joint top with 3 votes. We've got Bayley versus Sasha on 2 votes. And you can see these Hell in a Cell matches on 1 vote. Well, we've got 1 vote left to go for you now. Is it going to be a completely new match from Hell in a Cell that's going to be picked? Or are we going to get one of those 2 at the top as the definitive winner? There's only one way to find out, and it's to get our last wrestling YouTuber on this video. And well, let's be fair, he's a bit of a regular to SCW, this one. That's right, I've been given the difficult task of picking a winner for this belt. To be honest, really, there's been so many great Hell in a Cell matches, and of course, those who know me best know my favourite match of all time is actually inside Hell in a Cell. End of an era, just like OTM said earlier in this video, WrestleMania 28, Undertaker versus Triple H with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee. Definitely, I think it is the best Hell in a Cell match in the PG era, and despite it being my favourite Hell in a Cell match of all time, I'm not sure I can say it's the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. Favourite and greatest are 2 different meanings. So for me, personally, another one of mine that I think could be up there in the top 3 is definitely the original with The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels from Bad Blood 1997. But I do think that the 2 at the top of the ladder are in contention for the greatest. One of them I see is the greatest, the other one I see in the top 5, and both have the credentials to be a winner of this video. But for me, my selection, what I think is the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time, is also my second favourite match of all time. I have to go with my heart. I have to go with nostalgia of memory, how it was that first time watching King of the Ring 1998. It's what all Hell in a Cell matches are judged upon ever since going forward. The fact that Mankind more or less gave himself to everybody watching on that day. The fact he went flying off the top of the Hell in a Cell, continued after that going through a table, to then go to the top of the cell, to then be chokeslammed through it, to then get up and then continue the match once again. Of course, thumbtacks are brought in and everything. Mankind on that day literally just, that match itself for me, I think won the Monday Night War. And I think even watching the Monday Night Wars, Kevin Nash said, like, when they looked at it and went, see what was going on in WWE, went, these guys have won the war, we're not going to win it. This was just, it was pivotal of what was happening with wrestling at the time, the fact of the difference it made for perhaps WWE to go on to win the Monday Night War, and as well just as a Hell in a Cell spectacle itself, what it meant watching it myself as a teenager growing up. My jaw hit the ground, and I still get that feeling. I go back to that feeling as a teenager every time I go to re-watch this match. Now, don't get me wrong, the 6-man Hell in a Cell match is also a fantastic match. I highly recommend everyone to go and check it out. But my vote, and now winner, has to go to King of the Ring 1998 Undertaker versus Mankind, with 4 votes. Looking at the rest of the leaderboard then, in second place is the 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell match from Armageddon 2000. In third place is Bayley versus Sasha Banks from Hell in a Cell 2020. And as you can see there, in joint 4th place in the final standings there, we've got the original Hell in a Cell match from Bad Blood 1997, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. We've got Triple H versus Cactus Jack from No Way Out 2000. And we've also got Triple H versus Shawn Michaels from Bad Blood 2004. So that's what we think, that's what's been decided. Has it been done right? Is Undertaker versus Mankind the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time? It is your turn to vote now in the comments below. Let me know, have we got it right or have we got it wrong? And if we've got it wrong in your opinion, then please let me know what you think is the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. I cannot wait to interact with you. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like the video, share it with a friend as well. The word of mouth goes a long way in helping a channel grow here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel as well. And as I say, go to the description of this video. A big thank you to everyone who contributed into help making this video. So many talented content creators here in the YouTube community, and all of them part of this video as well. The link to every channel is in the description below, so go and click on the links, subscribe to their channels, watch a video, and hit a like as well. Show them support. Honestly, some fantastic stuff and some fantastic creators in this community. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching. As always, go and check out these videos on the side of the screen right now. Thank you for watching. Take care. Have yourselves a great day. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube, and we have voted Undertaker versus Mankind, King of the Ring 1998 as the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time.